Hello again, everyone. Another question that we had come in was, should you buy lawn care accounts? Um, I have a lot of mixed feelings on that, and I can tell you from experience, it can work for you, but there's a lot of downfalls to it. Okay. Nice part is you don't have to do any marketing because your clients are there, but at the same time you're paying for them. You're going to pay for clients one way or the other, whether it's through your marketing or whether you buy them from someone else. You're going to pay for clients one way or the other. So you can make money buying lawn accounts, like I said, but you really have to be careful. There's a lot of tricks and a lot of pitfalls you have to watch out for. Okay, I'm going to go over some of those with you today. You have a lot of problems that come with this, that's for sure. I have a lot of experience in this, actually, so I'm glad the question came in. But my experience is this. I'll tell you my first experience. When I started down in Florida, I bought a company, bought a guy out, and he started out with, I want to say, gosh, he must have had probably 150 accounts, I believe it was. And when all was said and done, and we took over the reins and we were running the show, we had about, I want to say, 75 clients that were actual, real clients. There were a lot of clients that when we started mowing their property, they came out and said, hey, we canceled your service a month ago. You know, a lot of things like that came up. So we lost a lot of clients there. And I've had a lot of problems with this. And so I'm very shy on buying accounts, but I'm going to tell you what to watch for because we have bought them and it has worked. I'll give you another example of another guy that we bought out. And he had just 37 accounts. Okay, no big deal, right? So what made it a big deal is after 1 month, we found out that out of 37 clients, we managed to lose 30 out of 37 clients. How can that be, right? How can that possibly be? Well, there were different circumstances that went into it, but one was kind of the same thing. When we started mowing, they said, hey, we canceled your service, same kind of thing. I don't know if, excuse me, I don't know if they were looking for a way out or what it was, but you know, we had that come up. We had a lot of them say, hey, Steve used to do, the guy I bought it from, he used to do all these extras and he didn't used to charge us for it, and can you guys do that? And then when I would refuse to do it, because I would tell them, look, I realized that, you hired us to come and mow your grass. You didn't hire us to come and trim your shrubs and your trees and things like that, or spray your lawn for weeds. I mean, those are extra things that we can take care of for you, but we have to be paid for those services. I mean, it costs us money when we have to pay guys to be out here to do that work for you. I hope you understand that. And we would lose clients because of it, because this Steve guy that I bought it from just was doing all these extras for these people. And in the end, I realized, I learned a lesson from that, a valuable lesson. And the lesson is this. He wasn't making money at his business, and that's why he was selling it. That's why he wanted out. I should have looked harder into why he wasn't making money. I didn't realize he was doing all these extra services for these people. I should have talked to some of these people about this maybe. And the other thing that I didn't realize is that he would take on a lot of lawns that he shouldn't have taken on for the price he was getting for them. He should have been charging a lot more, but he wasn't. So there's a lot of things like that you have to watch out for when you're buying these businesses. Okay. Let's see. You can and will lose money. I mean, there's no two ways about it. You can lose your butt buying these, like the guy I bought the 37 accounts from and lost 30 of them. So you really have to watch that. Okay. People will leave you for a lot of reasons, just because you're someone different even. They may have been waiting for a chance to get rid of their lawn guy, but they really didn't want it because they kind of liked him. But then when you take over, they don't really know you, so that's a good time for them to jump ship, and they will jump ship, believe me. They're just looking for a reason sometimes. Some people want you to mow just on Fridays, okay? And you don't know this because you just bought the business. So you go in there and you tell them, well, I'm sorry, sir, but we have to do you in this rotation. When we're in this, say, Palm Bay area or whatever where you're in, this is always done on Wednesdays or Tuesdays. And he'll find out, no, if you don't mow me on Fridays, then I'm not going to take your service. Well, you can't go 20 miles away, come out of your way for one customer. You have to route everything so that you can do it on specific days of the week. To make any money at this business, you got to route things and schedule things like that. So you'll lose customers for that. Others people have certain hours they want you to mow, and excuse me. That's another thing it's hard for a lawn care guy to do, because you can't, if they want you to be there between 3 and 5 on Wednesday, even if they agree to the day, but they say, okay, but it's got to be between 3 and 5. Well, how can you guarantee that? You can't shift around all the jobs that you're doing to make sure you're there during that 3 to 5 period, because there's just too much shifting around. That means you're going to have to travel over here. That's more fuel out of your way. Then you got to come all the way back. There's a lot of headaches with that. So that's another thing that happens and why people will leave you. Okay. There again, the extras. If you don't do the extras for the people, and this other guy was doing them for free, you don't do it, they'll leave you. If you try to raise your prices to get them to where you can actually make a living, where you can actually make money, which is what you're in the business for, right? You're here to make money. You try to raise your prices on these people after you've just bought this business, you're out the door. They don't want to hear it. There's too much competition out there. They'll go get somebody else. They look at it like, hey, the guy's only been here a month. He's already raising my prices. And that's because we went out, we worked the job. We're like, holy smokes, I can't believe we're doing it for this amount. So rather than continue to do it for that amount, you try to raise the price so that you can actually make money on the job. You're not trying to rape them. You're just trying to make money on the job. But to them, it's like you're out to rape them. They'll leave you for that, okay? They may not like your equipment. They may not like it that you come on there with big heavy rider mowers or something like that, and which we used to do. Now we went to all the stand-up mowers, so we don't do that anymore. But we had people leave us for that because they didn't want it rutting up their lawns, okay? Things to look for when you go to buy a business, okay? The pricing standard back when we were buying these businesses seemed to be 3 months. So you would take how much you charge that customer, just for easy figuring, let's just say it was $100 a month. You would take it times 3, that customer's worth $300 to you, okay? So when you compile that in his list of, say you bought 10 customers from him, well, that's what you're paying is the $3,000, But just to make it simple, that's the standard in the industry, I guess you would say. But there's a lot of things that go into this besides that. Don't just look at that. Most people want too much money for their businesses. They think they're gold and they're really not. And I know this, and I hope that you learn this from me before you make that mistake of buying these businesses and losing all these clients, because it's going to happen. We're a good lawn care company. We've been over backwards for them, but they still leave us, and they're going to leave you too. So you have to realize that, and please learn from this. Geographical areas. Take a good look at where his clientele are. If they're all over the board, it's going to cost you a lot of money. If they're 5 miles this way or 3 miles that way, they're all over the place, and they're not concentrated in certain areas. That's going to cost you money. Anytime your guys are behind the glass, they're not making you any cash. They're behind the window, it costs you money. Remember that. So the farther they have to travel, the less money you're actually making, okay? Let's see. Pay attention to how long they've had these customers. If they're all just new customers, that makes a difference too. He was a good lawn care guy if he held customers for a long time. If his average clientele ranges from 1 to 2 years, that's generally not the best lawn care guy out there to be buying his business from. He's getting new clients all the time. So, well, I shouldn't say that. He maybe isn't, but he certainly isn't retaining the clients. So good companies will retain clients longer than that. So pay attention to that. Payment history. You want to look at the bookwork. You want to look at the payment history behind all of these clients. You want to ask to see the books, look at them, see, are these late payers? Are they having trouble, or were these payments always on time? That'll tell you if you have good paying customers, okay? If you see where, this one here, they were 3 months behind, or this one was 4 months behind, or things like that, he had lousy business practices, he allowed that to happen, he's got slow payers, you don't want slow payers. You have to stick this money out right out of your pocket, right off the bat, and you got to keep it going. You got to make all the wheels keep spinning, keep providing the grease for them, and the grease costs you money. You got to make sure you get your money. So if he's got a lot of slow payers on there, he's not taking care of business, okay? And if he's allowed them to do that, when you go in there and you try and put your foot down and say, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, I can't allow you to be late anymore, you have to pay on time, you're going to lose that client. Okay? That's just the way it is. They'll say their last guy didn't mind. And there you go. So pay attention to the books, the history on the clients, very important. Make sure they have good books, okay, accurate. Make sure they're not just fudging the numbers. Just look at it. Make sure everything makes sense to you. Visit each property. I can't stress this enough. I would take out, now what I do if we go to look at purchasing clients, we go around and we actually look at the property. I look and see how much he's charging. I look at the services he's providing, and I look at the lawn and see how big that is, how many obstacles are in that lawn, how long should it take us to do this. It all gets computed, and you figure out, is this profitable, is this not profitable, okay? Keep that in mind. Let's see, add up the revenue versus the costs, okay? When you're looking at the figure, if just hypothetically he wants $10,000 for the business, you need to look at what he's actually making, what he's charging all the clients, look at what all your costs are, and in the end, your profit margin, where is it? How much profit are you making off this? And keep in mind, you could lose 50% or more of those clients. So I would take of those 100 clients he's selling you, automatically plan on 50, because that's what you're going to end up with generally. Okay? Look at that times your 3 months, that gets you going. Gives you an idea, a starting spot. Okay? Let's see, cost per client, we talk about this a little bit. You have to know when you go out and get clients on your own, every client costs you money. So just hypothetically, and this is nothing etched in stone, it's all different. For door hangers, your clients' numbers are going to be different. Internet advertising, your clients' numbers are going to be different off your website. Pay-per-click is going to be a different set of numbers you have to go off of. So there's nothing set in stone, okay? But every client does cost you money because you have to advertise somewhere to get that client, whether it's lettering on your truck, you name it. I mean, there's a million different things, postcards, all that kind of stuff. They all have their different numbers, but you have to figure out what it generally costs you for a client, okay? And let's just say hypothetically, it costs you $100 per client to get them. And you may look at that right now and say, well, that's not the case because I can put an ad in the paper and I can get one here or I can get one there. Okay, well, that's great that you can do that. You don't have a machine that's building these and keeping them coming to you all the time. But like I say, it's going to vary. Your internet might be a little more expensive than, say, your door hangers, things like that. So it does go back and forth, or your ad in the paper, okay? There's different things that can make you money. But that ad in the paper, you may advertise for months on end, and you might end up with only a dozen people you picked up, whereas you could advertise for a month on the internet and pick up 50 new clients, okay? So then you take your cost of that internet advertising and your 50 clients that you obtained in that month and divide that into there, and that'll tell you what your client cost was, so your cost per client, okay? So you need to think about that too. When he's asking a certain amount, just say, hey, if I had to go out and get 50 clients by myself right now, and I use my best forms of advertising to do it, what would it cost me? And if in his book it costs you $300 a client, if you had to buy his business, and you can go over here and pick him up for $100 a client, then it would be foolish for you to buy his business, right? Okay, so just remember that, okay? Let's see, does it come with equipment? You got to look at the equipment. You have to look at, is it bashed up? Is it beat up? How terrible is the equipment? That's a huge thing. I mean, all the lawn care equipment over time gets to look like crap, but you really got to get in there and check them out, just wiggle the shafts, check the bearings, all these things you got to do. Same with your trucks and trailers and everything. Look at everything he's got and then place a value on it. So just go on the internet, just go on Craigslist or something and see what that particular year that mower is going for, something very similar to that mower. If he's wanting $1,000 for that mower, and on Craigslist the similar one is going for $500. Okay, you write your note down. This is worth $500 to me. This trailer is worth $3,500 to me. That truck is worth $5,500 to me. He may want $40,000 for everything, and you have $20,000 worth of value that you could go out and buy it yourself right now for. Obviously, you don't want to buy this equipment, okay? So keep that in mind. Let's see. People generally want too much for their businesses. They do. And I get the whole thing of starting high and this and that, and there's some guys that'll put prices on there and say firm. And when you go to look at the business and you find out all the mistakes and you realize you're probably going to lose half these people when you buy them, he doesn't want to hear that. He doesn't care about that. He's trying to sell you his business. So he doesn't care that when he signs off and he has your check and he's gone to the bank, he could care less how many you lose. All right, he's gone. He has this money. You need to keep that in the back of your mind the whole time. I'm going to lose half these people. If you don't lose them, fantastic. That's great. But you better be prepared for losing them, because it does happen, and it will happen for all the reasons I've mentioned, and others I'm sure I haven't thought of. Let's see. Not a big fan of it, I guess. The non-compete thing, we talked about that. Make sure you get that signed from him. And it's not something you have to have a lawyer do. You can type it up yourself, and it's legal. And you could go after him, but there again, it costs you money to go after him, and then you have to prove it. I mean, you got to watch him. I mean, everybody's nice to your face, but man, that turnaround, like that Mike guy came behind me and sold me the business, and came back 3 months later and tried to take them all back. Took all my money, but then tried to come back and take the customers. That's what a low-life piece of crap he was. But anyway, you'll have that. Let's see. Pricing. Pricing is a big thing. You need to pay attention to what he's charging on those properties. I kind of touched on it earlier. I'm going to go over it again real quick. If that should be a $80 a month lawn in your book, and he's only charging them $65, don't think you can raise that and they're going to stay with you, because they probably won't. Okay? You need to look at that, explain that to him, say, I think you're a little low on this thing, and I'm going to calculate this in, because this is where I feel we need to be on this. So now your value of that client has come down, because that's not an $80 client to you. Okay, it's a $65 client. So keep that in mind when you're buying this business. Okay. Let's see. Should you buy lawn care accounts? It can be done. You got to do your homework. You have to pay attention to all these details and all the things that I've talked about here today, because I've been burnt by it. I'm not talking because I saw it on somebody's YouTube video or heard about it. I actually lived it. I went through it. It was devastating to us. We couldn't believe how much we had lost on it. I wish there would have been YouTube videos out there telling me to watch out for these pitfalls. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see any of those things coming. And I thought I was so careful, and I thought I was so smart that I wouldn't let that happen to me. Well, I found out it did happen to me. So I'm very leery about buying businesses. Like I say, generally they want way too much for them. Their blood and sweat's into them, and they think they're worth gold. And in reality, when you lose half of them, the numbers aren't there. You're not going to make money. You can make money if you find the right guy. If you find the right guy, he's doing it for the right price, and he's going to sell it to you for the right price, you can make money at it. But those guys are few and far in between, so you really have to be careful. Set your price. When you go to make this gentleman an offer, set your price and walk away. If he doesn't come down to your price, don't buy it. You already know what the equipment's worth. You know you're going to lose 50% of your customers probably. Excuse me. And you just know that you're going to have troubles making the transfer, having them come over into you and get to know you and all the reasons that they can leave and things. You've got a lot of things to consider there. So don't give him that price if you're not going to make money. If he wants $100,000 and you think it's worth $50,000, offer him $50,000. And if he doesn't take it, walk away, because if you can't get it for that, you're not going to make any money. So why would you want to spend your money on it? Hopefully this will help you out. Hopefully these tips have helped you. If I could help one person avoid making the mistakes that I've made, my mistakes cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm giving you this free advice. I hope you take it, and I hope you have a good outcome because of it. If you want to take a look at our website, familylawnandlandscape.com, we've got a lot of videos with a lot of other tips, and hopefully this will help you out, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.